Hi, well, as people start to filter in, I want to welcome you to TMC Connect. Today, we have with us Take 3 Technology and the Rule Tool. Anita Padilla is going to walk us through their process, and wanted to let you know that there's kind of just a couple of housekeeping things. Everybody's come in on mute, but we do want this to be interactive. So please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll read those out to Anita as we go through the process. Today's webinar is Avoid the Costly Mistake of Missing a Guideline on your QM Jumbo Lock. We may have additional information for you in a follow-up email. We definitely will have an additional information for you in a follow-up email that will come out tomorrow. It will include the link to the video of today's session, as well as an additional video with some additional information that the Rule Tool is providing for us. So once again, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm Tony Bramley. I'm the Business Development Director here at the Mortgage Collaborative, and we are so thankful that you have chosen to stop by for today's session. And without further ado, Anita, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. So I'm a 44-year mortgage banker. I own a mortgage company, and I also own the Rule Tool. So grew up in operations and ran underwriting, sales, whatnot. So I built the Rule Tool because I felt like there was a need in the market based on my experience of talking with other CEO IMBs and interviewing loan officers, and then just running my day-to-day operations. And what I found, and I would wonder, well, why didn't the loan officer just look up the guideline? So I went to the seller guide, and mind you, I don't underwrite loans every day. I'm the CEO of my company, so I'm doing a lot of different things. But time to time, issues will come to my desk. And then I have to make a decision. So the first thing I'd want to know is, well, what's the agency rule so I can better understand? So I would go to the seller guide, and I found it difficult to navigate. In some cases, I didn't have the credentials that I needed to get where I was going. So I thought to myself, okay, well, if it's this difficult for me to look something up in a seller guide, I would ask Polly or do something, and I'd get several choices. Maybe some of them were related to servicing, maybe to origination, but eventually would navigate my way to where I was going. And then I would read a couple of pages of information, and then sometimes would wonder, okay, I'm not exactly sure what they're saying. And I'll give you an example of that here in a minute. But I thought to myself, you know, the importance of a loan officer taking a complete and qualified application up front is really important. It's important to the company, but it's also important to the loan officer, who I believe a lot of loan officers I've worked with are great professionals, and they just want the information, but it needs to be accessible. It needs to be easy. So with that, I thought, you know, we can build a tool that we can put on the cloud. And as a community of mortgage bankers trying to accomplish the same goal, use this to allow our salespeople on the who are meeting with the clients up front, Saturday and Sunday, whenever they're meeting with clients, to not only be able to easily access it on their laptop or their notepad or their mobile device, be able to get information. So empowering them with knowledge and giving them fast and easy access to information, and then information articulated in a manner that's easy for them to understand what the guideline is saying. So when I say that, I'll give you an example of Fannie Mae and commission. So commission is, I call them gray areas, meaning the agencies are saying, well, you know, you need to decide. So we're saying to the loan officer, well, here's the rule, here's the calculation, here's the documentation. And if you want to, go ahead and click here. This way, it's going to take you right to the page. You don't have to navigate all over the seller guide. Now, your company may have a blush like Megastar does with regard to how they're going to look at commission income. So for my mortgage company, Megastar, what we're saying is, hey, you need to send in the application because, you know, we really don't know. There's too many variables with regard to the line of work that they're in, what they did prior to that, you know, what kind of reserves, loan to value, etc. So we can decide if we can rep and warrant a commission that's less than 24 months. So as an enterprise user, your company, whether you're, you know, whatever company, ABC Lending, Guild Mortgage, whatever, you go in and you maintain that part. The rest of the content in the rule tool is maintained by the rule tool knowledge experts. So we are looking at agency rules and investors every single day, and we are then updating the rule tool accordingly. On the non-conforming side, so as we know, the agencies, what I say is, you know, they're the boss, they're the core guideline. Then investors can choose, seller servicers can choose to overlay what they want. So for instance, FHA, maybe you don't want to go to 580, you're overlaid at 620. So that would be the overlays and what we just covered there. So, you know, again, I'll kind of go back there and show you that. The other thing you can do is you can just type in a word versus pulling from the stack. The system is going to look at other variables that you might search for: alimony, child support, separate maintenance, garnishments, and the system will help guide you to where you're going. So for the investor overlays here, these will show the companies that you sell to. The loan officer just simply opens the overlay matrix and is able to identify if that investor overlays the agency rule. So for jumbo, jumbo is more complicated in the fact that every jumbo investor has a guideline. So unlike having the core guideline that the agencies have, they all have their own seller servicer guides. So what we did is we said, okay, we're going to read everybody's guidelines and we're going to determine, the rule tool knowledge experts will determine where the outliers are, meaning, is there a rule that's not consistent with the agencies? So if your loan officer is locking a loan and they look at their price execution, and today, let's say their best price execution is JP Morgan Chase and maybe Truist, the system is going to tell you where their outliers are. So the old saying is, you don't know what you don't know. The loan officer would come through and he would skip through here to see if any of these apply. Now notice the difference between Truist in the right-hand column and JP Morgan Chase. Truist has a lot more outliers than JP Morgan Chase's product. So that's, you know, I just thought that was an awareness. So then the loan officer can feel confident and is, again, able to access this information very easily before the lock. So for the business owner, you're able to reduce costs if you have FTEs that are doing this for you. You have the information on the cloud. You improve your pipeline quality. You avoid locking a jumbo loan and missing an outlier, because we all know having to mark those to market is no fun at all. And the other thing the rule tool does is it kind of stops the he said, she said, where you have the underwriter saying one thing and your loan officer arguing another. You know, just being able to come here and see, you know, what is the situation for any given guideline, and be able to get to resolution quickly. So that's basically the rule tool in a nutshell. Can I answer any questions?
Thank you, Anita. I appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will go over those. You know, you were talking about the updates and how your team goes in and daily does those updates. Can you talk a little bit about that process and how that looks internally?
Yeah, absolutely. So our team, every day, they are tasked with going in and we go and touch and we track we go to the agencies every day. Additionally, we are signed up with the agencies and the investors so that the rule tool is notified if there's a bulletin or a mortgagee letter that comes out. Then we track all of that information so that we have a history of everything that's been issued. And then that is sent to a knowledge expert. The knowledge expert will read the bulletin and or the guideline and determine if we need to make an adjustment to any of the agency rules that have pre-written. So let's just say that I think student loans comes to mind. That's been modified by various agencies. So we go in and we modify the guidance on the student loan, and then we document when we updated that particular rule. As an example, if we were to look, I think at USDA here, they had a change on student loan. So that change then was dated in October, per their guideline. Then here, if we were to go to the admin section over here, and we were to look at the USDA student loan, and this is the back end, this is where we work to modify and track everything, then and search for that, we are going to see that the USDA guideline was updated on the 27th, which is the same day as the bulletin. So we do that for all of the agencies, we do that for all of our investors, and then the guideline actually goes to a second expert who then reads the articulation and the bulletin, and they either agree or they make modifications, and it goes back through that cycle, and then we post live.
And what's that usually look like? 24 hours?
24 hours. Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were talking about the overlays as well, but the lender can actually go in and update that on their own. So they maintain that as soon as they have an account. So is that something that's an admin function, and how many admins can they have, and how do they get set up with the rule tool?
So great question. So the only thing that the lender updates is their own guidance, and that's up to them. We have lenders who don't use that feature. We have lenders who do use that feature. So it depends on the company, but we have a lot of customers who don't do anything. They just subscribe and they take their information. Companies that are bigger, our company, I want the loan officer to know what to do in the case of a commission between 12 and 24 months. And I've had people tell me, well, I thought the compensating factor was that they were a really nice family. Well, I love that, but that's not a compensating factor. So it's easier for us just to say, send it to underwriting and we'll let you know. So, but other companies don't feel they want to do that. But I just wanted to stress, you can be just turnkey and nothing, or you can go ahead and give guidance. It's whatever works for your company. As far as how many admins, I don't know, and maybe Noah or Corey, you guys can chime in, but I think I don't know that we necessarily have a limit. So you could have 1, 2, or 3. I mean, you don't want to have a ton of people, because that you want to manage the content you're putting in there and that people agree to it, right? Because you don't want somebody putting something in there and an underwriter, because for like at Megastar, our underwriters understand that if it's not it has to be in the rule tool. You can't make up rules. That's the bottom line. Is that's
a very good rule, but you can't make up rules.
Yeah, because the loan officers, they need consistency. They need to understand how to originate the loan up front.
Excellent.
And as far as, just hit, I think, the contact us button if you're interested in subscribing, and Corey would help you out.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anita, for all of this excellent information. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you guys. You are dual members with the Mortgage Collaborative, lenders as well as preferred partners. So we love that you bring your expertise to both sides of the TMC family. So thank you very much for that. To everyone who has attended today, thank you so much for coming to TMC Connect. There will be a follow-up email that'll go out tomorrow. It'll have a video of this session, as well as an additional video that Anita has provided and some bullet points of takeaways for this call.
Yes, so we love mortgage bankers, and we have over 3,500 subscribers, and you know, they're great, and we always want to be better, and we always want to help. So thank you for being here today.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much. Anita, thank you again for all of your assistance and expertise. And everyone have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Bye.